Hi, I'm Dr. Dan Ratner. As part of our Mind-Body Connection series, we'll continue to look more deeply at the three columns and their corresponding action steps. Today, I'm going to focus on how to understand the speed of your recovery and how to think about it in a way that can make sense of it in such a way that can give you full hope for your progress. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we'll get back to you personally. And finally, you can reserve your place in one of my seminars or purchase any of my Mind-Body guides, formerly known as the PDFs, at www.crushingdoubt.org. Now, without further ado, here is my take on the speed of recovery and how to measure it and understand it correctly. When people are assessing their progress in my system, I find that they tend to be very hard on themselves and sometimes on the system, which is fine, but not helpful for your confidence in your ability to get better. But as always, the better the understanding of what is happening, the more of a position of success you can find yourselves in. So what is it that leads to success in my system? The first answer is the information. While no system and no person is perfect, myself included, of course, what I can say is that my information is at least different in many, many facets. This is a nice starting point and can give you some confidence in getting better. After all, if I was just giving you the same information, why would you get better? Outside of the mind-body community, you're often given lots of things to do, but they usually don't make sense because you're being asked to dismiss key pieces of information since they don't understand the mind-body perspective at all. Often you're being asked to dismiss data that is right in front of you, very obvious or contradicting things that they're saying, or directly in your own experience. Not only are you not getting the right information, but you're being asked to pretend that some of the information you have just randomly doesn't really exist or isn't relevant. Inside the mind-body community, you're getting only part of the picture all of the time. I do not say this critically of the work that my colleagues are doing. It's excellent work. It's shedding light on all kinds of aspects of the experience. But where I come in is around seeing the big picture and organizing it, because it is very easy to be zoomed too close to be able to see what is happening. Once we have a big picture system in place that can account for all of the varied experiences that we see, at least generally speaking, then we can get specific. Today is about getting specific about how to understand the speed of your progress or lack thereof, or even an uneven field on which we find ourselves, where progress is fast in one area and slow in another. Well, the good news is this, like all the rest of it, makes sense, and we can make sense of it. There are three determining factors. This always seems to be the magic number, doesn't it? In the speed of your progress, and I want to organize those with you so you know how to square it up. The first factor is simply how good and strong you feel about each of the three columns and the action steps you develop within them. If any of your columns doesn't feel clear or strong, then we need to work on helping you get to a place where they feel really well settled. Let's remember what this means. In the emotions column, it means that you have your 6 to 10 themes, and you understand how to think about them in relation to the onset and uptick in symptoms in your present-day life when the themes are echoed there. In the doubt column, it means that you have a system to articulate doubts as they come up, since they're always changing. You've got tried and true ways to combat those doubts in some form, whether it's through me and my system or maybe some other sources, and you are finding success getting all questions, confusion, lack of certainty, and fear countered to your full satisfaction. It also means a full belief that symptoms are consistently acute, but never truly chronic. In the power column, it means having a clear and accurate core narrative on which to rely and a system to identify when you are out of power with yourself, others, or your symptoms, including actions, mostly internal ones, to get yourself back into powerful, good feeling. This includes third-level doubt about yourself and your ability to get better and recognizing when low power is leading to a plateau in recovery. With respect to action steps, your progress is going to depend on just how clear you are on what steps need to be taken and a feeling of confidence that you can indeed enact those steps. Trauma, in the meantime, should be seen as a form of doubt that tends to warp your ability to see the emotional themes well, it enhances doubt hugely, and it diminishes power. It's a major factor in making the columns not function as well as I've outlined previously, but that does not mean the columns will not work. It just slows down the speed of them working. Stay patient and self-empathic, and this will not stop you. If any one part of my system is not up to par, you may find yourself slowed down because of it. A sporadic but consistent assessment of your columns and action steps when needed can help you know when something needs an adjustment or an enhancement. But there are two other areas to note as separate entities, and I need to begin by giving proper credit where credit is due, even if I don't know the actual source of this wording. I work with a woman who had a couples therapist who said something once that she passed on to me and I thought was really wise and interesting, and that was that they would get better at the speed of trust. I just loved this sentiment and it rang true right away. The speed at which we get better really does relate to the speed of trust in whatever it is we're working on. In couples counseling, this is largely about the degree to which you trust your partner, determining the speed. But it also relates to trusting the therapist, and it also relates to trusting the process. And none of that can be forced. It has to be real. What's important for the purposes of recovery from symptoms is to note that there are several things that can be operational in determining the speed at which we are going. And I mean this in addition to what's happening with your columns and the action steps, as I already mentioned. There's trust in our bodies, which has largely been lost temporarily when people have had long-running and or very difficult symptoms. There's trust in our minds, which is getting undermined by societal messages, self-esteem issues, and often aggression from others. There's trust in our realities, an ability to trust our own perceptions, made all the worse by the gaslighting and confusion being wrought in most spaces on a regular basis. There's trust in doctors, which has been largely eroded by their failure to recognize this side of medicine. Remember, trust them for life and death things, but not for mind-body stuff. There's trust in psychology, which has also dropped the ball on a number of levels for all of you by not understanding trauma well enough and by having its members fall into the same trap of structural thinking about the body and doubt. There's trust in the mind-body community, which hasn't been perfect either, partly because we're all human and partly, if you ask me, because they aren't seeing the big picture enough and focus in a bit too closely, leaving one solution to dive into for many people, and it doesn't always fit. Any of these areas being in a less than great state can lead to a slowed rate of recovery. This is why I have tried to build a system that can be trusted, because we move at the speed of trust. It is a system that allows for a wide variety of individual differences and has different solutions for different problems, which makes sense. It's a system that encourages you to develop your own system within my system, because no other setup is taking in the reality of what you will face in trying to get better if we're not factoring you in. It is a system that is built on a foundation of never ever throwing out any good data. And it is also a system that does throw out bad data once it has been disproven, debunked, or simply recognized as not making sense. Even the motivations of the people behind the scenes can always lead to a lack of trust, or even just perceived motivations. I'm doing everything I can to show that my motivation is to change the way society understands this all, and to help every single pain sufferer I can. I'll try to remain very consistent in these messages so that your speed of trust is higher. And when trust feels damaged in some way, in me, in the process, in the information, try to get that addressed in a positive, proactive way so that you aren't slowed down. The health of your columns and the speed of trust are two of the elements that determine the speed of your recovery. As such, when you get better at the speed of trust, and wherever you get better at the speed of trust, you also get better at the speed of doubt. Some of you may panic at this thinking, oh no, but I have lots of doubts. But the point is not that having doubts will set you back so much as the idea that the speed of your recovery can change. This is a good thing. Your level of doubt can be adjusted on a moment-to-moment basis, and this means that the speed of your recovery can jump all the way up to light speed at all kinds of different moments, even if you get slowed down at other moments. Now, this is precisely why I still have acute symptoms on a daily basis, but can master them so incredibly quickly. They go away in seconds because I am moving at the speed of doubt, and my doubt is almost none whatsoever. The lower your doubt, the faster your recovery or mastery over a given symptom. When you have no doubt, your acute symptoms can be mastered at the speed of doubt, making it go lightning fast because your speed is faster. Your so-called chronic symptoms don't stand a chance because once doubt is eradicated, we only believe in consistently acute symptoms, and there are no chronic conditions. And the speed of any recovery from a power dynamic is also off the charts when doubts are at zero. So just remember, even if your doubt is high right now, that's not the point. The point is that you too can begin moving very quickly towards recovery and make huge progress the second you get that doubt lowered. Not only do we recover at the speed of doubt, but the speed of doubt can always be adjusted every single moment of every single day, and that means you are never without hope. I really hope you enjoyed this episode on the speed of recovery and how to understand it effectively to give yourself complete and accurate hope. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below and we'll get back to you personally.